Hi boys and girls. In this video I'm going to be reading through your chapter 13 math test for you. Just like I would put it up on the smartboard in the classroom and you would take it at your desk, you are welcome to sit with your test in front of you and look at your screen as I read through each problem. As I go through, the nice thing about doing it this way is if I go too quickly, you can just hit pause and finish up the problem and then unpause it when you're ready to move on. So go ahead, and the first thing you should do is put your name and number first thing. So up here at the top, go ahead and put your name, remembering that uppercase letter for your first letter and the rest should be lowercase. And if you'd like to put the date is 4/3/20. That's April the 3rd, 2020. So the directions here say listen to the question and give the best answer. So I will read through the questions and you will give what you believe is the best answer for each question. So make sure that you are on the page that has the number 1 as the first problem. If you're looking at a different number as the first problem, you need to flip the paper over. You're on the wrong side. So make sure you see that number 1, and I will begin. Number 1 says, Nicholas drew a closed shape with 4 sides. Choose all shapes he could have drawn. Now I want to have you pay specific attention to this word all. All shapes means that there could be more than one, so you need to choose all of them. So looking at these shapes here, which ones have 4 sides? And they're also closed shapes, which we've been learning about open and closed shapes. So go ahead and fill in all of the ones that you see that are both closed and have 4 sides. And if you need more time, you can pause the video. If you are ready to move on, I'll go down to number 2. Number 2 here says, trace the shape. Draw a dot at each corner. Write how many sides and corners. So the first thing you'll do is take your pencil or whatever writing utensil you're using to take this test, and you will trace, just like a connect the dot, the dotted lines to make a solid closed shape. And then the second step says draw a dot at each corner. So you'll take that pencil or writing utensil, and at each one of the corners you'll put a dot. And then once you've done that, on these lines you'll write how many sides does this quadrilateral have and how many corners does that quadrilateral have. If you need more time, you can pause this video. If not, I'll move on to number 3. Number 3 says, is the shape open or closed? Looking at this shape, I see that there are 4 sides and 4 corners, and all of the sides and corners are connected. So given what we've learned in the past 2 weeks about open and closed shapes, you need to decide. If you think that's a closed shape, you'll fill in the bubble here. And if you think that's an open shape, you'll fill in the bubble here. Moving on to number 4. What new shape can you make using one triangle and one rhombus? So using the triangle and rhombus down here in this space, it says draw the new shape. So you figure out, using those 2 shapes, what new shape you can make, and just draw a picture of it for me here. If you want to pause the video while you do that, go right ahead, and I will move on to number 5 when you're finished. All right, so number 5 says, use semicircles or this half circle to make a circle. Draw a line to show how to make that circle. Then it says, how many half circles make one whole circle? So on this shape, you're going to use your crayon or pencil to draw a line to show me half circles. And then on this line, you're going to show me how many half circles you used to make that complete circle. Moving on to number 6. And again, if I get going too fast, don't worry, you can pause this at any time and start it up again when you're ready. So I'm moving a little bit quickly, probably more quickly than I would normally do in the classroom. But because you have that ability to pause, I'm going to keep moving on. So number 6 says, circle the real objects shaped like the solid shape. So here we have a solid shape, which in this case is a rectangular prism. And I want you to look down here. There are 4 real life shapes. Some of them have that rectangular prism shape and some do not. So I just want you to circle down here which of those 4 pictures is in the shape of a rectangular prism. Moving down to number 7. It says, which real objects are shaped like a sphere? Remember, a sphere, if it was a flat 2D shape, would be a circle, but when it comes up off the paper and it has that round shape that we can hold on to, is a ball shaped like a sphere? If it is, fill in that bubble. Is a box shaped like a sphere? If it is, fill in that bubble. Is an ice cream cone shaped like a sphere? If it is, fill in that bubble. And is a marble shaped like a sphere? If it is, fill in that bubble. Number 8, Sue draws a solid shape with one flat surface. Which shape does she draw? So we're looking for a shape that has only one, not more than one, and not less than one. So you need to look at each of these shapes and decide how many, if any, flat sides does the shape have. And then fill in the bubble next to the one that only has one flat surface. If you need some time to think about it, go ahead and pause. If not, I'm moving down to number 9. Number 9 says, color blue any shape you could use to trace a circle. Color red any shape you could use to trace a rectangle. So the first thing that you should do is get your blue crayon, and I'll go ahead and highlight that word blue for us. And any shape that you could trace and get a circle, you should color blue. So take a minute to do that, and when you're ready to move on to red, you can unpause the video. Okay, this one says color red any shape that you could use to trace a rectangle. So I'm going to highlight the red here. Color red any shape you could use to trace a rectangle. And you're going to now take your red crayon and go through, and any one of these shapes that you could trace and get a rectangle shape, go ahead and color it red. Now, some of these shapes you may be able to get a circle and a rectangle when you trace them. If that's the case, go ahead and color it with both of your crayons. Moving down to number 10. Number 10 says color all the shapes with exactly 4 sides. So that means no more than 4 and no less than 4. So if you see a shape that has 7, 8, 9, 10 sides, it does have 4, but it has more than 4. So that's not exactly 4. So go ahead and count the sides of each of these shapes. And if you see exactly 4 sides, go ahead and color the shape. And you can use any color of your choosing. Remember, you can pause in between these. Don't feel like you have to rush to get the coloring done. Number 11 says, color all the shapes with no corners. So you're going to look at each of these 4 shapes here. Some of them are 2-dimensional, some are 3-dimensional. And if the shape has no corners, you will color it any color you choose. If you see corners, you know not to color that shape. Moving down to number 12, it says color the shapes that make the figure shown. So down here I have 4 shapes, and 2 of them were put together to make this figure here. So looking down here at these shapes, which 2 shapes could you build or construct together to come up with this figure here? And you can color in any color you want those 2 shapes. Number 13. Omar has a square yard for his chickens. Each side is made of a piece of fence. How many pieces of fence does he have? So if his yard is shaped like a square, and each side of that square has a fence, how many sides does his yard have? That will tell us how many pieces of fence he needs. So put that number here. Number 14. Rachel found a box of different shaped blocks in her closet. She wants to give her baby sister all of the shapes with a curved surface. Color the blocks she will give her sister. So you're going to take whatever color you want and you'll look at each of these shapes, and if there's a curved surface somewhere on that shape, you will color it. If there's not a curved surface, leave it alone. Okay, moving down to number 15. Excuse me. It says, Walter traced a solid shape to make this picture. Which shape did Walter trace? So looking at the image here, which of these shapes did he put on the paper and trace to come up with that picture? Fill in the bubble next to the shape that he would have traced to make that picture. And boys and girls, at this point, we have come to the end of our Chapter 13 test. If you need to have a problem repeated, you can, go back in the video, and obviously you'll be able to listen to me go over the problem again. If there's still a problem you're having any trouble with, please don't hesitate to send me a message in Class Dojo, and I'd be happy to get back with you. I hope that you enjoyed taking a test this way, and I look forward to seeing you submit your tests here shortly. Nice work, boys and girls. We'll see you again soon.